Hello, Galaxy! I'm Chris Pirillo, and you're watching the Locker Gnome Daily Report, or TLDR for short. I'm streaming this live on Twitch, as I do every night at 6 p.m., and this is going to be a segment that's going to be clipped out and uploaded for the rest of the world to enjoy, even though you're more than welcome to join the foundation of our community there. That's pretty much where we are at this point, kind of like the classic days of live.pirillo.com. You may remember... in those days, I initially said that I was never going to get the iPhone, or did not want to get it the day that it launched, specifically. Which is true, I did not get it the day that it launched. But one application made all the difference in the world to me, and that was the weather app. I picked up the phone, opened the weather app, swiped, and I think it was specifically swipe left, and the animation was so fluid, even at 60 frames per second. I'd never seen anything like it. And that changed my mind. Ultimately, drove me a direction I was never expecting to go. And for at least 6 or 7 years, I was very content in being an iPhone user, waiting for something better to come along. Unfortunately, I strayed away from Apple a few years after the release of iOS 7. That was pretty much when I realized Apple's taking a different direction with software, not really paying attention to refining the features that were in place and how those features were presented, but just piling feature on top of feature on top of feature on top of feature and breaking things everywhere, and so ending up with jank and animation judder and slop that still is present today in iOS. So, that said, tonight, I did unbox the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and I'm about to give you my initial impressions. This is my first notch phone. It's not your phone. It's my notch phone. My first real notch phone. And I haven't been using it for too long, but I have been streaming the whole setup process on Twitch, which, of course, you know, if you were watching, then you knew exactly what was going on. This is the first iPhone upgrade that I've had since the iPhone 8 Plus, which has been being actively used in the live streams, because I use the camera as a close-up on the desk when I get into showcasing what it is that I happen to be 3D printing. There's the Vader, upside. I love holding things upside down, because why not? I'm going to stick with the upside down thing. This is something that was designed by one of our mods, Fix'em Dude, and this was actually the subject of a first picture that I posted on the Discord server, and then immediately compared it with my current Android device. So I've been kind of running it through its paces and navigating around iOS in a different usability context, specifically with Face ID, having only gone from Touch ID to Face ID specifically with the iPhone, the iPad Pro notwithstanding. Not really expecting, believe it or not, to be impressed. Because, of course, there's been a suggestion that some of the animations are not optimized. Core animation needs to be updated yet. Apple has already suggested this. They need to patch it. Whether they do or not, I don't know. But my initial impressions of this device, now that I've given you some degree of context, are positive. And that's not exactly what I was expecting to walk into. You know, I like being flippant. I like having fun. Love the unboxing juice. It's delicious. And this is the first impressions juice, which doesn't really roll off the tongue. Rolls back through the tongue, though. This is fluid. This is responsive. This is absolutely an upgrade from my older iPhone. I can't say that in this brief time I could see myself switching to iOS from Android, but it's giving the best Android experiences a run for their money. It's just as fluid when it's doing what it should do as Android can be. And that's not something I've been able to say for the past, I don't know, few years at least. And so there are definitely some snags that I've run into in various corners, specifically default apps, which has me worried because those things are not likely going to get addressed. For example, right now, if you swipe down on the app update inside the App Store, what happens is it bounces. Or if you clear out all the history in FaceTime, as you clear out the last one, the buttons kind of expand and contract. If you have an empty inbox and jump in and out of the empty inboxes, there's a bit of animation judder. So there's an extreme lack of polish in iOS. I've already documented the folder bug as it minimizes in the tray, at least on the iPad OS, and I assume it would be the same on the iPhone OS. But it's fast. It's zippy. It's a very iOS experience. I'll say that. I'm not going to go as far as to say that's an accolade, apart from suggesting that this is potentially a device that I could consider using on a daily basis as like my default phone, because it's that fluid and should get more fluid. There are problems certainly that exist. I mentioned just a couple of them, tip of the iceberg. But even in jumping in and out of the apps that I have here, you can tell where some third-party apps need to be updated in terms of being able to take advantage of the ProMotion display, which is baffling to me because that was like a free upgrade to all the apps on the iPad OS. Why it wasn't the same on the iPhone is just mind-boggling. Like, I don't know why. That doesn't make any sense to me, but it's fast. It's chunky. You definitely feel the weight on it. I mean, I've got a case on here, and it's a nice case because it's got a lip around the edges, which I really appreciate because, you know, if you drop it and it lands flat on its face, the lip kind of catches it so that it doesn't hit the screen. I don't plan on dropping this anytime soon, but I'm very satisfied with this particular purchase. And that's, again, not something that I was expecting to say. I didn't exactly approach this with a pessimistic point of view, but I was really drawn into the fluidity in moving around. And of course, I'm used to gestures in Android, so that wasn't a surprise at all. And of course, I'm used to gestures in the iPad OS. That said, I'm still planning on upgrading, swapping out my iPad. I'm getting rid of my iPad and moving over to an Android tablet because I'm not happy with the iPad software. But I'm going to be keeping the iPhone 13 Pro Max and replacing the iPhone 8 Plus after however many years have passed since that time. But I like it. I'm kind of taken aback. I wish Apple would go a little further with spit and polish. There are many things that I still don't like about it. So many things that I think need to be addressed. But wow. I mean, seriously. Okay, Apple, you kind of have my attention again. I will be running it through its paces. I'll be doing some camera comparisons. You can see a lot of those happening on Discord. I'll probably be doing a dedicated video, streaming that live on Twitch naturally, and recording that screencast as I do that. I'll be pitting this against other contemporary phone cameras, like the Samsung Galaxy Ultra S21 5G Pro Premium Plus Platinum device that I have. And then, of course, when the Pixel 6 Pro is released, although it would be very interesting to compare it against the Pixel 4 XL, which I do believe is still a contender for the camera output. Not the camera, but the output, the photos themselves. So, what else would you like to hear from me in relation to this iOS experience as it continues to unfold? Let me know in a comment. And, of course, like I said, feel free to join us every night on Twitch, starting around 6 p.m. Pacific. Would be happy to have you be a part of this community.